And welcome to another episode of Feed Your Mind podcast. My name is Rafal Widejko. I'm coming to you guys from snowy Calgary. And right now, as always, we always have a guest, someone that can actually teach you something so we can share some of the information. But let me ask you a quick question. Have you ever thought maybe you have a broken brain, maybe you're burnt out, maybe you're looking for something and you thought you found a perfect career and you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life, and eventually something click and say, you know what? That's not what I want to do. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is sharing a story of someone that has so much experience in offline, online, finding little ways, and just coming out right now. Okay. This person, I've been following her for a little bit already. When she comes out, she's going to be able to share a lot of information. But one of the biggest things that if you guys are watching replay or if you guys are coming, don't hesitate. Comment, say hello. What part of the world you're watching from? This podcast here that we're doing with you guys is to give you a little bit of information, inspire you, and give you more of the things that I done. You guys know my story. If you have not heard, I've been in the corporate for 18 years and I was able to resign, and I've been online. I actually just celebrated my 4th year anniversary doing this full time. And I know this something like this happened to me about 6.5 years ago when I was actually inspired and I heard something that I know that there was other people out there doing something that they love. They're traveling the world. That's when I began researching. And the same thing happened with our guest. And let's not wait anymore and bring out April. April, welcome to the podcast. I know you have an amazing story. That's why I want to bring you up here. And I know that you have so much experience, but there's a lot of people out there. They work really hard. They get a career. They want to make sure that that's what they thought they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, and then something happens. So
Mhm.
welcome, April. How are you
Thank
doing
you.
today?
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm doing
No,
good.
that's amazing, like amazing. So let's just maybe start off like with every single person. Who is April? And maybe we'll just start sharing a little bit of your story, because I think that's what story inspires others, because we all think that our story don't matter. Trust me, it does.
Yeah, 100%. And it's taken me a long time to get kind of brave enough to kind of come out. I had left home at 15 with a grade 8 education. So I spent a lot of time pretending that I was okay and that I had tons of education and everything would be fine. So what that forced me to do was work really hard at learning, but I was really still feeling super stuck in terms of everything I did, while it would make money, it never really fulfilled what it was I wanted. And what I really wanted was freedom. Because without freedom, what in the world do we have? Health and freedom, you need both.
Well, I know. And one of the things that a lot of people, I guess they get confused, or they think freedom means different things to each person. What did freedom mean to you?
Yeah, for me, freedom was all about choice. So if my and I'll tell you a quick story about how this happened for me. Years ago, I remember being in a job and someone came up to me. It was like a boss or a supervisor or someone, and they said, "Oh, okay, it's time for your lunch." I'm like, "What do you mean it's time for my lunch? Like I'm not even hungry. I just had my coffee." And that's really when it dinged in my head. This is what I hate about a job, is
Yeah.
that someone is dictating what time I get up, what time I show up, what exactly I'm doing for my day, and what time I eat, for the love of God. I don't want anyone to tell me when I'm hungry.
Oh, that's even better. The best one is just say, "Can I go to the washroom?" You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like there's
we're
so
back
many
in
things.
grade school.
Yeah. It is, and it's like sometimes people think freedom is being ultimate free, travel the world, do whatever you want, but every
Mm,
person is different. And
yeah.
I know for myself was spending time with my family, being able to be home. Another person, maybe it's financial freedom, maybe it's someone wants to buy a new car every week. Another person just wants to be comfortable to be able to pay their bills, or maybe to have a little bit extra side hustle. And I know when we all start out, we find something we're passionate about, but we ended up being in a career, and you realize that's not what you want to do for the rest of your life. I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's what you started working in a field that you thought that's what you're going to do, and all of a sudden, something happened. So maybe let's share a little bit of that story.
Well, it was more of a morph, really. What would happen for me when I was younger? Because, of course, when I first left home, I needed that choice because of where I came from. I had this whole idea that I had a broken brain and I couldn't think like other people. Pardon me, sorry.
No
I
worries.
couldn't think like other people. I couldn't learn like other people. So I had told myself this story. So what I did was I started creating these businesses, but I didn't have the education in the background. So what I would do is I would do that for a while, and then I would go get a job. And I would do that till it annoyed the hell out of me. Then I'd go back and start another business. So I had this pattern for many, many years, and it just kind of went back and forth, back and forth. Then I did mortgages for about 10 years. I was really good at it and I loved it. And I worked for myself, but that I ended up getting sick is what happened. I got physically sick. And then I started working for a company and it drove me crazy. I helped this guy build his business from a 3-person show to an entire team in a little over a year. And what did I get out of it? Really? A couple of raises and still no freedom. So finally, it was so funny because I got fired. I've been fired twice in my life and I've never, I've been one of these people that has a really strong work ethic, but I didn't really want to be where I was. So apparently my friends were telling me that I used to say it all the time. Oh, he's going to fire me any day. And he finally did, which was the biggest gift because then I just decided now's the time. I really just need to go online and do what it is I need to do. And I've been able to do that. And this winter, as you know, Raf, I spent the winter in Mexico while I worked. And
Lucky girl.
smart girl, this is the thing is that you can do this. You can craft your life the way you want it. But the trick is to understand that most people have some basis of limiting beliefs. So for me, for many, many years, I had this belief that I had to be at a certain level in order to do the things I wanted to do. And what I've learned by hacking my own brain in my own life is that that's not actually true. You have to take the action and then the reality follows.
You just said something that I hear this so much, and we've been on a journey together for a long time. I mean, I started about 6.5 years ago when I was working corporate, and I had this belief myself, even that that's the only way you can do it. You're working for someone else, or creating it. And I had a career. I was in management. I was in charge of a lot of people, a lot of information, and I was proud of where I was working. It was a great company I worked for, and I worked for actually Costco Wholesale, which is an amazing company. And I know a lot
I
of people.
worked for them too.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, they wanted me to stay and become a manager. And I knew that was the hook. I'm like, if I do that, I'm never getting out.
Well, that's where I was actually. Just recently, just got a message from someone that's been there for 20 years, and they said, "Rafal, I just resigned." And I just listened to when you were in 2018, March 28th, when I officially resigned, and I actually did a video. So if you guys haven't had a chance, go to my personal page or on YouTube. There's a video when I was recording a video when I was leaving my corporate job, before and after. I was scared shitless. I was excited, but I was so scared because it's like you're letting go of something. You still have a family to support. You have all the information. I did this as a side hustle for the first year and a half. Then I took another year, and then eventually you get to that point. But it is the beliefs. And a lot of us, I thought there's no way I can do this. And I see those guys traveling the world, making talking about ridiculous amount of money. I thought that was like too good to be true. I thought it was like, how can you do that? The online is a scam. There's something always there. And the biggest one is it's the people that you surrounded yourself with were saying that there's no way you can be successful. And I remember those days. And you probably had the same experience.
100%. Like even in the last 2 years, I've noticed that I've been shedding people in my life that I know for sure. And they're not holding me back. Their belief systems are holding me back.
Yep.
So it's about surrounding yourself with the right kind of messages. And that's both internally and externally, because we do value what our friends say. We do value what our peer group is doing. So if your peer group is all in jobs and working 9 to 5, they think you don't have a job. I still have friends now that'll call me at 3-4 times in a day. And I'm like, why do they keep calling me? It's because they think I don't have a job, because they don't understand what it is to work for yourself.
You know what? I the beliefs, the mindset, I think is the biggest thing that a lot of people have to overcome. Beliefs is one, but it's the programming that you've been programmed a certain way for all this life. And I know a lot of people. I know you're a coach, I'm a coach, and you talk to people, and it's like they really want to work hard. And I always remember the time that I was told, like by my mentor, and they say, go read a book. And I'm like, no, I don't want to read a book. I want to work really hard to make money. And they said, no, this is the first thing you have to do is right here, work on your brain, work on your mindset, manifestation, or, beliefs. There's so many things that when I was in corporate, it was the same way. But I know when you came across so many people that are running businesses, maybe it's online or offline, doesn't matter. But at the same time, what happens is you still got to put in the work. You still got to take action. You still got to do all those things. And eventually you'll have that freedom. So when you first started out online, what was one of your trigger points, or was it something that you saw that, inspired you to keep going towards that goal?
It was actually a fear of going back. It was a fear of acknowledging that yet again, I was going to have to go back and get a job because I knew I was
Ask
good
for
at
a
it.
break. Go for a
Pardon
break
me?
now. Ask go for a break right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going to have to go back to somebody else's rules. And that kept me going because I was so terrified that that's where I had to go. And even this year, like as early as January, when I was deciding to go to Mexico for the winter, I knew I needed internet. I knew that I could make money. I knew that I had enough clients. I knew that I had enough work to keep me going. But I was so terrified. I had two fears. The first one was that I wasn't going to make enough money or as much money. And the second one was that I would get sick. And here's the funny thing is that first of all, I went from a 7-day work week, which is what I was doing before, because I, like you, had that belief. I got to work every day. I got to work 24/7. And the truth is that will keep you stuck longer than anything else.
Yep. You have
Because
to have that
that
freedom.
is fed by a belief that you're actually not good enough, if you believe it. That is really what that is fed by. That's fed by an internal belief that you're not good enough. So I go to Mexico and I thought, okay, I'm not going to be stuck. I had great internet. So I thought, okay, so I have good internet. I can take my week now and go down to 3.5 days a week. I did that as soon as I got there. And I worked 3.5 days a week and almost doubled my income. So that became now the new truth. And that's the thing about beliefs is that you just have to believe you can do it. And I mean, that sounds so simplistic. And in fairness, it really is, because there is a whole bunch of work. When I work with people, there is a whole path to changing limiting beliefs, because most people aren't even aware they have them. Because I've been doing this work on myself for so many years, I'm fully aware that I have all these crazy ass beliefs. And the other one is about getting sick. I had this belief that if I get sick and I'm by myself, I won't be able to look after myself. Well, sure enough, I had a major ear infection, which turned into an abscess tooth, which turned into a root canal and a new crown. And guess what? I lived, right? So now I
But
have proof.
what you think about you attract. That's one thing that I learned. And sometimes it's like I'm frustrated, or maybe I'm doing something, and I'm like it is because what we like. I've used to never believe in this stuff, but what you said right there is you're constantly growing. And think about when you first started online. Look at the skills that you've learned. It's
Oh,
learning a skill and leveraging it, and implementation is the biggest key to it all. I know people that are good students.
yeah.
They will learn, and they're not making money, but like they say, 80% of people that buy courses or
I don't
they
even
never
do
go
them.
through it.
They never do them.
No.
I can remember way back in the beginning when I first went online, and that was when I was still doing mortgages. So I was working all day, and then I would come home at night and I would set up my computer and I would sit there and I'd have a monitor here and I'd have my computer here and I would go through tutorial videos. And I have no shame admitting this. I was in tears many days because I was like, oh man, am I ever going to be able to figure this out? Like, why can't I remember blah, 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 all the BS going through my head all the time. But because I persevered and just kept going back, tears and all. And I basically just said, F it, I'm just going to do it. And as painful as it's going to be, I'm going to do it, because that fear of going back to where I was. Now, some people operate on pleasure. I operate best under stress. So I know I'm fear driven. So I know that if I'm afraid of something, it's going to propel me forward. Not everybody operates that way.
I think just looking back, because obviously you probably have a lot of experience too, is I remember saying I think I said something, it was Cameron George, I think he said something, he was like, man, running ads, it's so hard. And he goes, really? Is it harder than working for constructions, carrying 25-pound cement bags up the stairs or whatever on the rain? And then it's just when you look at it differently, it's like, no, this is not hard. It's just something that you have to learn. So what are some of the things that you've learned? Maybe someone is just starting out online, maybe they're a coach, maybe they're just looking for a way to have a side hustle. What's some of the advice that you would give from your experience to a person that is doing that right now?
Well, if it's a side hustle, make sure that you really want it. You have to really want it. And the reason for that is because if you're already comfortable and you're making enough money, and it's okay, it's kind of crappy, you got a job, you don't love it, but it pays the bills, rah, 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 rah. If the thing that you're doing on the side doesn't fill your tank and really fire you up, then you will go years with that just being a side hustle. And I spoke to a woman the other day who actually said to me, she said, I thought that I was okay with this just being a side hustle and I was just going to keep my job. She goes, I have a great job. I make lots of money. She goes, but you know what? Something happened in the last year. And she says, I can't even tell you what it was. But now I am like motivated all of a sudden to build this business so that I can quit my job. She goes, I almost did a couple of months ago, but I kind of shied away. So if it's a side hustle, make sure that it's not about money. And I know that sounds insane, but here's the truth. People actually don't work for money. They work for a lot of things. The money is part of getting the acknowledgement. It's not even the toys. It's about the status that comes with money and sometimes the freedom that comes with money. It really depends. But if you're focused on the money, your subconscious is going to constantly remind you that you're fine. If it's a side hustle, it's like, you're fine. You don't need more money. Even if you're not aware that's happening, that's what's going on under the surface. So if it's a side hustle, make sure it's something that really fires you up.
This was something that, I mean, that was incredible. April, like what you just said right there, it's passion. Like, if you treat your business, side hustle even as a hobby, it's going to cost you like a hobby. And a lot of people quit because that's what they do. But you have to have a why. You have to have a strong enough why. And that was like for myself at the beginning when I started out, it was a side hustle. But when they pissed me off, when they told me I can't have a vacation that I booked a year in advance, and they told me that, you know what, like I still remember till this day, I put in vacation. Okay, 1 week in advance, book a cabin, paid for it. I mean, I've been there 16 years, management, high management. I'm like, I'm going to get it. No problem. A month later, they sit me down, Rafal, another manager with a little bit more seniority requested the same time off. Now we're going to go and give it to them. You have to change it. I was so mad. And at that moment, right there, I said, no one will ever tell me when I can spend time with my family. And right there, that pushed me over. And that made me put a fire under my ass. And I'm like, I don't care how long it takes. This is my way. I have to do it. And I was lucky enough to come across people that you surround yourself that were actually helping me. So yeah, you're totally right. You know
Yeah,
what?
100%.
You have to take this. Yeah. Is it easy to resign? Second thing is, and I think April, if you can, and I'm not sure if you're going to probably agree with me with this too, comfort zone. Let's talk about comfort zone. When you are in a comfort zone, when you have that cushy job, the paycheck comes every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
that's when people treat them other side business as a hustle, as a like a hobby. Let's talk about comfort zone.
So nothing good ever happens there. That's the first thing I'm going to say. Yep. Nothing really important ever happens in the comfort zone. All the juicy parts of life are on the outside of that. And the kind of the caveat to that is that it's also really uncomfortable. So if you're in your comfort zone, it's okay. You're not very fired up about anything. But if life is about anything, it should be about being fired up about life, right? So when you start to push on the edges of your comfort zone, it really is an appropriate word because you really get uncomfortable. But all the good stuff is on the other side of that. And life is like it's a yin and yang. You can't have a bunch of juice and fun and flair and excitement without taking a lot of discomfort and pain. So it's how you see that pain. So for instance, one of the things that I do, because I'm constantly hacking my own brain, the minute, literally the millisecond I hear myself complain about something that I'm doing to make money, I stop myself and I go, no, actually, you're really grateful for this. And the reason I do that is because if you don't appreciate where you are, you will not grow. And if I'm not comfortable with the discomfort, I'm also not going to grow.
No, that's amazing. So a lot of times is when you start out and get out of the comfort zone is it when you're an entrepreneur and when you're working out, you're all the time and you're putting the effort. One of the biggest things that as an employee mindset I had to learn was basically getting out of that thinking that the work that I put in now might not pay me 6 months from now, a year from now, even longer. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're putting this, it's compounding, but as long as you're consistent, it goes up. When you started out, and I know have so much experience in different areas, but when you started online, what are some of the things that you learned that when you were consistent, was compounding down like throughout this your journey?
Right. So the first thing that compounds that we rarely notice or celebrate, and because I work exclusively with women, I notice this more all the time, is that because we don't celebrate the little wins, we forget that every piece of education, everything we learn. So this is what happens. If I learn a new piece of software, our brain automatically goes, all right, done with that. And it's not important anymore. That accomplishment leaves us. And you need to take a moment to appreciate everything you learned. Like if I even think like between 2017 and today, the amount of software that I learned it's mind blowing. I can pick up almost any piece of software now and figure it out. Not because I can figure it out today, but because that information in my brain has been compounding over the years of experiencing new projects and new pieces of software, for instance. That's just one example. Anything you learn will compound.
Oh,
So anything you learn.
do you remember first time getting on, maybe running an ad or setting things up like brand new? I remember like it was 6.5 years ago, and I actually just joined AWOL Academy. It was like a big investment. I just made my first 5 figures, and like first 7 weeks I had really good, a couple months I was shocked and stuff, and now they're telling me to invest like $7,500 into training, and I was like, like I don't need it. I'm just going to work hard. But then when I got on and I started following the things, it was brand new. So all those softwares, I think it's the resourcefulness. So if you're resourceful, that's
Mhm.
something that is going to change everything for you, because the people that you probably work with, your clients and stuff, and you see the difference.
Mhm.
Someone will be there and they'll be like just asking questions, and the other one's like, what, I'll figure this out. I'll find a way. And if
Mhm.
I'm really, really stuck, then you ask.
Yeah,
How?
it's the Google me this sort of scenario.
Yeah.
Someone asks you a question and you're like, "Have you heard of Google?" Because
I call it go ask Uncle
go
Google.
ask Uncle Google. I love that. That is so perfect. And it's true because see, one of the things that comes before even that resourcefulness is that you have to be tenacious. I would say that my strongest life skill, the life skill that has supported me the most getting to where I am, has been tenacity. If you can just look at a problem and say, okay, like you said, I'm going to figure it out, because that even comes before the resourceful. You'll learn to be resourceful when you don't give up. The only way that you fail is by giving up. And you might not even win at the thing you think you're going to win at. I'm not doing what I thought I would be doing online now that I was doing
Yeah.
before. You just don't, because the more you learn, the more capable you become, the more you see opportunities.
The more you learn, the more you earn. And I
100%.
think that's where it comes into scale. It's like thinking about, you go to university, you go to college, you go to school, and you learn all those things so you can have a good career. But when you come in here, a lot of times now, especially with crypto, with NFTs, everything that is happening, people think they can press few buttons and make millions.
Yeah.
And yeah, is it?
But that's the messaging, right? That's what we're seeing online. And that's part of the problem is I can't even go on Facebook anymore without beating someone up verbally, because I'm so sick of, people make your first 100,000 in 6 weeks. Let me show you how. I'm like, that is such crap. Oh my gosh, here it comes. Sorry, Raf.
That's
I
okay.
get
Hey,
so
it's all
annoyed
good.
because it's not true. There are so many things you need to do, and grabbing a free swipe file is not going to get you there. So, I just it oh, so
But you
that's
know
the
what? It's
message.
it's not it's not just this year, this age.
No.
2017, a lot of people renting out Airbnbs, renting out cars, and woo, look at my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Same thing. But
Yeah.
even if you look back on the TVs, get rich, real
Mhm.
estate, buy this DVD, buy this cassette player. If some of you guys still remember, you know what I mean? Like
Well, do you
it's
remember
been,
Tony Robbins and his
yeah.
infomercials?
y-
He was the same way. I'm going to change your life,
yeah,
right? And
but
it's
but
like
but
in a
that's
weekend.
it's all same there. There's always been scams, there's always been
Yeah.
opportunities, there's been always people that have results, they always have
Yeah.
wins. Same thing, like when when you start out first time, it's like, where do you want to go? There's so many I call it shiny object syndromes. There's so many ways. Even now you can go in and there's so many ways you can invest. You can learn, there's network marketing companies, there's direct sales, there's crypto, NFTs, business, like real estate, forex, like you name it, it's so much out there. But the
Right.
difference is we're getting bombarded so much more
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
we are just like, it's like no more, like that, this is it. And a lot of people, the problem, and I know, because I've seen it so many times with so many people, is they'll try one thing, they get burned, maybe they get scammed. You tried another thing, maybe it didn't work out, you didn't put enough time, whatever it is, maybe it wasn't a good fit, and then you quit. And then any other opportunity comes your way, you said, no, this doesn't work, it's not going to work, because you gave up. Never give up on yourself. Find something you're passionate about, learn it, do it long enough. I always say, I think Balaj taught me this too, is, well, like guy that actually helped me transform my life, so thank you, Balaj. But one of the biggest things too, he says, 10,000 hours to become an expert. 10,000 hours. Right now, my son, he's turning 19 in May. He's getting his pilot license. He's like 3 lessons away to get his private pilot license. Then he's going for commercial license or maybe military. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But look at all the pilots. They have to learn a
Yeah.
skill. They have to put
Yeah.
in a certain amount of hours. Same thing here.
Yeah.
You're
It's
not going to
like,
become
yeah,
an expert. You can be, there's so many coaches, so-called expert,
I
crypto
know.
experts, NFT
I can't even,
experts.
I don't even refer to myself as a coach. And I am a trained, certified
Yeah.
coach. And
Yeah.
I don't even call myself that because everybody's a flipping coach. But
Yeah.
the truth of it is that people are afraid of failing. And failing is the best thing that you can do. And get comfortable with failing over and over and over again. Because the more times you fail, not only are you learning, but you're building up your resilience around failure.
I think fear is the biggest things that a lot of people have, and
Yeah.
failure is, yeah, you say. And a lot of people say, well, I just failed. This didn't work. Or I invested all this money and I lost it all. How do you
No.
know if it's a bad thing or a good thing? How do you know getting fired from a job is a bad or good thing? Like, I have so many, like I invested way over six figure into myself over the last 6 years just because I know what it took. But at the beginning, I was like, what do you mean I have to pay someone to teach me something? What do you mean I
Yeah.
have to buy this course? What do you mean I have to do this? But over time, you realize that the more you invest into yourself, the more skills you have, the more comfortable you get, and the more valuable you become. And eventually, you have all those skills. But reading books, doing all those things, I mean, like, I never used to read books.
Yeah. I
Like,
know.
what's one of your favorite books, April, that you would bring up?
You know what? I love the badass books. Those are so great.
Yeah.
And the reason I love them so much is because she's freaking hilarious and she's right. And
Yeah.
I think for many people that are just kind of at the edge and aren't sure what they can do, they're a great resource. So it's kind of like, it's not going to peel away all your limiting beliefs, but it's certainly going to help shift you in the direction that you need to go to start reading those books, to actually start digging away at yourself. Because the truth of it is, the only failure is quitting, because
Yep.
you either gain, I always say this, you gain money or you gain experience. You only fail when you quit.
And
So,
yeah, absolutely. And a
yeah,
lot of times I failed. I get, cheated, scammed from, like, there's always something that comes up.
yeah,
But when you look back, like, even like, I mean, some of you guys might relate, because again, I just heard this from someone that worked for in the same company I worked for, 20 years. And then when they resign, it's the same thing with me. Sign here, have a good day. No,
yeah,
like, no thank you, no extra bonus, no nothing. It's like, you're replaceable. And I think a
yeah,
lot of people realize that when COVID hit, when a lot of people thought their jobs are secure, and
yeah,
all of a sudden they're like losing the job, or
mm,
it's not guaranteed, if the
yeah,
businesses were going down, shutting down. So, but fear and everything else, being resourceful, all of those things help you in the long run. But I think one thing that I want to touch on, and it's morning routine. And I think
mm,
a lot of times it took me a few years at the beginning to figure out my morning routine, because I thought I had to take a morning routine, someone else's morning routine, and I had to stick with it. So,
mhm.
what do you think of morning routines? And maybe share some of your morning routines, because everybody's routine is different. And I'll give you some pointers on mine.
Yeah, for sure. This is a great question. Actually, I was watching. I watch everything Alex Hermosi does, and I'll tell you a little story about that guy, man. I saw him at Funnel Hacking Live in 2018, and it was the worst speaking I'd ever seen in my life. Like, it was cringeworthy.
Yeah.
But I knew he had a good message. So I was like, okay, so he's not a great speaker, but this guy's made, like, at that point, I think it was like 10 million or something in 2018. Now he's making 100 million a year, or 100 billion, or it's crazy. He's
Yeah.
like so out there. But he was talking about a morning routine the other day, and I've done the same thing. I've tried to copy other people's routines, and maybe I journal and maybe I meditate. And what I came to realize was that all of those things were just taking up time. And while they were great to relax me, they didn't actually fire me up. So it was funny. Sean said to me the other day, I said, "Oh, I've been working since 4:30 this morning." And he says, "Oh, did you get up and work out?" I said, "No." I said, "I got up and started following up on leads." Because that's what my morning routine is. I always make my bed. So if you want one routine I always do, I always make my bed. And the reason I always make my bed is because I live in a very small space, because I'm a minimalist and I like it, but I don't want to look at a messy bed, because for some reason that, like, distracts me. So I always make my bed. I always pour a cup of tea and I dive right into my leads. And I'll tell you why I do that. I do that to remind me that that's where my money is.
Yep.
So I know that the very first thing that comes into my freshly awake brain is all that money that I have sitting there in follow up that I need to do. Right.
Money is a
So,
follow up. Yep.
oh, the money is always in the follow up. And that's the whole thing, is that if you can, because as you know, I do mentor and I also do sales.
Yep.
So my programs kind of work like this. You have to work one on one with me to get into my mastermind, because one on one teaches you how to deal with your limiting beliefs. The primary purpose is all about continuing that work with other women in a group setting. And I also have another program, which is Sales Savvy for Women, because so many women have so many crazy beliefs about sales. So I stay in sales because I love teaching it. I love everything. I love everything about sales. And follow up is one of the biggest ones. So as you can see, I can feel myself being fired up just talking about it. Right. So
Yep.
that's what I do in the morning. I do the freaking thing that feeds me all day long. So while I'm not against morning routines, I think sometimes people rely on them too much. They think, well, if I do my journaling and my visions and if I sit down and meditate, meanwhile, you're 3 hours into the day.
Yeah.
And for me, I live right downtown in the downtown core. So the quietest time for me is like 5 to 7. I'm not going to waste my time meditating. For the love of Pete, it's not making me any money and it's not moving my life forward.
But see, and that's the problem, I think, when we first start out, is we think that we need to do certain things. Like, mine is different, but I'm gonna pass this on to anyone listening right now. I'm gonna feed your mind. Okay, ready? When you wake up every morning, you open your eyes, first thing I want you to do is say thank you, thank you, thank you. Why? Because you just woke up and you're alive. Some people didn't. You get off the bed and you put your feet on the ground, say thank you, because you have feet to stand on. Like, there's so many things to be grateful. And I think first thing when we open our eyes is to, I always make my bed too. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like, it's just a habit, or my wife who's going to kick my butt, because it's one of the things too. But then again, it's being taught those things. But a lot of times it's, it's the morning routine. Find what works for you. Okay. And like, I get up in the morning, usually it's 5 or 6 a.m. And then I'll have my routine. I actually do have the meditation. I do have certain things, visualization. I have like a download wall right here that I have, my vision board, my, like, everything, my money, affirmations, all my goals, my family, everything is right in one area. That works for me. But it took me a while to figure that out. So when you mention same thing, what fires you up? And I think that's the key. What fires you up? What works for you? But there are people that are there, ooh, I'll just manifest things and I'm
I
gonna be a
know.
millionaire, and they don't do any work.
Well,
Yes,
it's the same when I was coaching business. I said,
Yep.
if you don't, I don't coach business anymore because I realized so many people had limiting beliefs in the way of creating business. So that's why, and I had it too. So I love it. But what I noticed was that if you don't allow someone to create a business that works for them, and the morning routine is exactly the same, if you don't create it yourself, you might as well go get a job, because now you're living in someone else's structure. How about you create what works for you and also can support your lifestyle, whatever that may be?
Income producing activities. That's one thing.
80% of your time should be spent on income producing
activities. You can
activities.
build things and stuff like that, and staying focused. So I think one of the biggest things that I think one thing that helped me a lot was, and same thing again, it took me a while to figure it out, is time blocking. Is
Oh,
basically
I love
like
time
the
blocking.
first time blocking. So what does that mean? So maybe April, let's explain to our audience, some of you guys that might not know, what is time blocking and how do you use it yourself?
Well, what I do with time blocking is it's about prioritizing, because I don't know. I'm still got a little bit of that broken brain where I can really move around a lot and get really distracted easily. And I think a lot of people can. So what I do every single day at the end of the day is I make a list and prioritize in order what those need to be
Brain
done.
dump. I call it
Yes.
brain dump. Yeah.
I dump everything I need to get done. I actually do it on Sunday as well, but things come up
Yep.
during the week. So you just do a big list and then you prioritize. Okay, what do I have to do? And guess what? It's not your freaking website. If the top 3 things on your list are not about making money, your priorities are backwards. So you want to make sure that the money making priorities are always on top. Hence why I do follow up first thing in the day, because I want to make sure, because also people get back to you throughout the day. So it's a really good time to do follow up. So I do that, and then I stick it into my calendar where it's going to work, because everything I do goes on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, I am not going to do it. And that includes eating, by the way. I actually have to schedule in, not that I have trouble eating, I love eating, but if I don't schedule it in, I can literally be back to back with calls and things I have to
Drinking
do.
water.
Drinking water. Yes, I drink a ton of water. I actually drink one of those big blue jugs every single day.
I have one of those jugs. Obviously, we both have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
one of those too. Actually, Chris bought it for me years ago.
Nice.
So then I take those activities and I slot them into my calendar where they fit. And I always leave a little bit of space, because if I get to something that is, say, creative and I'm not in that headspace, I can shift it on my calendar. So time blocking for me is more about making sure that you're allocating the appropriate amount of time to the appropriate priorities. So you've got to figure out what the priorities are and then block them into your calendar in a way that's going to work for you, always leaving a bit of wiggle room, because nobody can live under, your own tyrant schedule. You really have to leave a bit of room.
So think about this. Write down the list. And the first 3 things, if they're not IPA, income producing activities, adjust your list. And
100%.
you're totally right, because a lot of times is people are not getting results, and then you ask them, well, how many people did you reach out to? How many, I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful that I had coaches, mentors through my journey, because it's just so many things just clicks and it's just stick right here. It's stuck in here. It's like, how do you make money? Okay.
Mhm.
Well, you find someone with a problem and make sure that you can have the solution for them. You're going to make sales. Well, how do you
Mhm.
do that? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to put the offer in front of people and follow up. That's it. And
Yeah,
that's
and follow up a lot. Listen, when I worked in mortgages, this is where I really learned this, and it's also where I really honed my sales skills,
yeah,
was working in mortgages. Because when you work in mortgages, at least in Canada, it's if you're a broker, it's 100% commission. If you're not out there paddling the pavement, you're not making any money. And it's a bit of a grind because there are a lot of brokers. And I started mortgage brokering in 2008, about 10 minutes before the market crash.
oh, shoot.
Literally.
Wow.
And everybody around me, here's the thing. Everybody around me was like, "Oh, that's, you can't get into that biz. Oh, it's so bad." And I was listening to 10 and 20-year brokers around me going, "Oh, it's so bad. It's so hard." And I'm like, "No." And I literally put on blinders, put my nose to the grindstone and just kept going. And guess what? It worked out fine. But I had to remove myself from the corporate office and go get my own office because the negativity and the noise about how terrible it is. Listen, people are always going to have to renew their mortgages. That's what I stuck with.
Yep.
People still need mortgages, even if the market's crashed. So, and it worked out fine. But I learned that tenacity, that 80-20 rule, and the pipeline. Like your pipeline always has to be refilled with new leads all the time. You've got to be filling it up all the time.
Negativity at work. How many of you guys
Oh,
are right now listening and you may be working for a job and you have those people that are just draining you? I remember and same thing. I used to be the person that would be negative and complain. And then when I started this journey, my wife would be just saying, Rafal, fuck you. It's always positive. You always say something. It's like it's always something comes up. But at the same time, you know what? You learn if you complain about something like gas prices, do you have any, can you change it? You can, so stop complaining about it.
I
But
didn't
the
even
thing
think about
what
it.
I know, but the thing is people around like I don't have TV. Like I turned off, there's no like we don't have subscription to TV like Netflix maybe or Disney, the kids are watching something, but I just because when you're watching all of this, it's just always something negative. But the people at work, I remember working and people will be just always nagging and copying and gossiping and negative and it's just everyone gets involved and it's just drawing you in. But then later on you'll be like just draining. So it's crazy the amount of people that you can actually learn. So
Can
anyway,
I tell you a quick
yeah,
story about how I left Costco?
yes, please.
Funniest thing, I had picked up a shift. I was working in membership, and the manager at the time was trying to talk me into going into the management. I'm like,
Which location were you in?
I was in Nanaimo,
Oh, okay.
So it was
Yeah,
the first one on Vancouver
yeah,
Island.
yeah, yeah.
So I was in the Nanaimo one, and we had this manager, Kirk, and he was a great guy, and I really liked him, and we got along really well. So we talked a lot. So you could hear the tittering, of people. They must be having an affair, like all that, that stuff that goes
Oh
on,
yeah,
like
the
freaking taking place
the
in this,
corporate lingo.
the
You know.
corporate lingo. And there
Yeah,
was nothing going on, by
yeah,
the way, just to be
yeah.
clear. But I just liked him. He was a really nice guy, and we got along really well. Anyway, so I had picked up a morning shift folding clothes. You know how those girls come in
Yep,
at
yeah, yeah,
5
yeah.
and they're off at 10.
Yeah, I
So
did it
I
for
had
three
picked up,
hours one time, and I said never again.
right. So I was in there and I'm working away and folding clothes. And it's probably about, I don't know, at 6 in the morning or something. And there's these 2 or 3 employees standing behind me, and they are whining and bitching about this and that and this and that. And I was just how shitty it is and how hard Costco is on you and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I literally turned around and I said, okay, you guys are a bunch of uneducated, overpaid whiners. Like, I
Yep.
can't even. It was such a culture of, it was much like when I worked for the Coast Guard. I worked for the Coast Guard in Canada as well.
Well, I
Very
didn't know that.
lenient.
That's yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've had some cool experiences. So I'm listening to this and I literally said to them, you guys, where else could you go and make this kind of money and have all these benefits and flexibility of time? I mean, I don't know if it's still true, but when I was at Costco, I could take January, February, March off if I wanted to,
Yeah,
which is
I
why
think
I
one
didn't.
month out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I didn't want to go into management, because I worked part time. I could pick up more shifts if I wanted, and I didn't want to get into all the bureaucracy of it. But that is the moment I decided to quit, because now I'm lashing out at the people who are just being them.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm done. And I literally put in my notice that day.
Wow, that's incredible. Like it took me a little bit, but I knew. And the crazy part is when I first started out, and I know it's like this is their first job. They've been there 25 years, and they're complaining. I'm like, you're making Costco pays really good money.
They
I think
do
now
pay good, and they have
here it's
great
starting wage is
benefits.
17.50 on Sunday. You get extra $4 an hour. I think in US you get on Sundays time and a half. Benefits are amazing.
Some of them I was working for were making $22 an hour, and that was 2001.
Yeah, now they're making like almost $30 now. Plus, they have every 6 months. Again, I'm not promoting Costco. There's a lot of people that are, working for the company, and it's a great
And
company.
it's
For
a
me, it was
great
the freedom.
company. They treat their employees really well, and they do mostly get the cream of the crop. I mean, they had you and me. I mean, really, they don't get much better than that, right?
That's right.
So,
They had.
yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know what's happening now, but there was just so many good things about working there,
Yep.
and it annoyed
How
the
long were you there for?
oh God, 4 years?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I've been
probably
there
4 years.
18 years for me.
Yeah, I know. Well, and the thing is that I took it as a stopgap. The
Yeah.
company I was working for in operations closed, and I was like, oh well, I better get a
I
job.
know. I got in. It's like just
Well,
seasonal
and
and
in those days, not a lot of people knew a lot about computers. So I was hired because I had worked for a computer company. I was hired to work in the computer department because of my experience. And it was
majors.
right. It was really hard to get into Costco at the time.
Yeah.
But because of my background in computers, they were like, someone that knows computers, perfect, come work with us, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've had lots, and the Coast Guard was the most painful position
Really?
for
What
that.
did what
Yeah.
did you do? What did you do on the Coast
Well, I
Guard?
just worked on, I think I was 19. I was really young, and my uncle got me the job because he was chief steward, which is
Yeah.
basically the chef,
Okay.
right? And I would go out and we would work. I worked on buoy tenders. For those of you that don't know what a buoy tender is, there's lots of buoys out in the ocean that are just bobbing around and they have
Yep.
lights on them to
Yeah.
mark rocks and stuff. So we would tend those. So we would fix them, do maintenance and
Oh,
stuff
I
like
see
that.
those. You take them out, clean them, change
You
light
take them
bulbs, all
out,
that
clean
stuff. Yeah.
them. And in those days, they had people working on lighthouses. So we would drop off stock, food, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff
Yeah.
for the people. I don't think we have any manned lighthouses in Canada anymore, but at the time we did.
Okay.
So I got to sail all over the place with these guys in crazy weather. Like I'm talking like walking on the walls kind of weather. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
And I also got to do the Panama Canal trip because we took two ships from the west coast of Canada all the way down through the Panama and up to Quebec. It was so cool. I was so
Well, so when you mentioned that you have a lot of experience, you do. You have
I
so
re-
many
I've
stories.
also worked in the Northwest Territories. I worked on the oil rigs for Esso. I've had some crazy experiences.
And
I've seen
now
polar bears
you're all
live.
online. And you're online
Yeah.
now, working the freedom, learning
Mhm.
every day and helping others. And that's what the beauty about this is. And I think for me, and was I don't know if it was a breaking point, but it was, just listening in and stuff. And at the end, literally, I knew like when I was ready to like, I'm gonna work on this. I'm gonna make it work. I don't care how long it takes. This is my way out. And
Mhm.
at the beginning, when you work, you get in trouble and they give you a hard time. And oh, you didn't finish this. You didn't hit your goals and stuff. And last year and a half before I resigned, I'm like, I was working on my business. So here and there, I was, doing my things, and I was
I
getting
did that for
praised.
the mortgage company too. When I was working for that mortgage company, man, oh my God. I was
Yeah.
doing so much online work.
Yeah, and the thing is, I was getting praised and I was getting rewarded. I'm like, I worked my butt off and I didn't get it, and now I'm slacking off in a way, and I'm getting it. So, and I
Mhm.
think it's just everybody should have a side hustle. Everyone should find something that you're passionate about, just so things. And I know, like for me, it was the passion of helping others because I believing what's possible. I thought that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I was
Yeah.
stuck. I love the company. I love the benefits. I was there for a long time. I was moving up the corporate ladder. I knew where I was heading. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden this comes up and I see, guy making $135,000 in 3 weeks and me saying like BS, that's impossible. And then, they show me and seeing
Yeah.
traveling. And when you surround yourself, and I think the last thing I want to talk about is surround yourself with the right people. And they talk about the top five. If you right now, if you look around, who do you hang out with?
Yeah.
Who do you surround yourself with?
Mhm.
Because that's going to tell you where you're heading. Because if
Yeah.
you're staying around so people that are gossiping and the people that are complaining all the time, and you're like, maybe not, but you get drawn in and you get
Mhm.
drained, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and I
So
believe that too. That's why, like we touched on this earlier. I have been shedding people the last couple of years because I really recognize that they were holding me back
yep.
unintentionally, right? So,
Well,
and
they laugh at you.
it's why I do what I do because and I can't move forward holding on to those people that are stuck because what I do is work with women to I am living proof that it doesn't matter where you came from. You are the captain of your own ship.
Yep.
You decide what your life is going to look like, whatever that may be. And maybe for you it is corporate America, but I'm betting that if you really could figure out what you were passionate about and work on that, even as a side hustle, it will change your life forever.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing. Passion was just helping others. Like right now, I'm in position. It's crazy because when I looked at the people that I helped, 90% were women, and it's just like looking at my avatar and talking to this. Like, there's so many women that I was able to help and transform and help them realize what's possible. And when you work for a job, you think that's all you can do. I don't have the skills. There's those beliefs, and I think breaking your beliefs, talking to
Yeah.
someone, or having it. And I know you do calls sometimes as well. So, and I do as well too. You guys are welcome to just reach out to one of us, be able to actually assist you and just maybe point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
I like when I talk to people, maybe I'm not the right person, maybe I'll point them to April and then just say, hey, she's the right person to help you. There are so many other people that I talk to too, and I talk to thousands of people. Sales is something that everyone does and everyone should learn. If you say that you're not good at
Oh,
sales,
thank you for
BS.
saying that
Yeah,
because I always tell women if you know how to sell, you will never be poor.
but
You will
everyone
never
knows
be
how to
out of
sell.
work.
When you
Well, of
have if you have
course.
kids, look at it. If you have kids, they sell you every day. I don't want to eat this broccoli. I don't want to eat this. I can't dress this. They're the biggest sell. Even when they get older. Every day you sell, you promote every day. Oh, this is a great wine. Oh, this is an amazing restaurant. Oh, this is a great movie. Go
Well, you're
check it out.
even selling yourself. I tell women all the time, the minute you put on makeup,
Yeah.
you're selling yourself. And I know that
I
sounds
I don't wear
fast.
makeup. I'm sorry. I'm not going to
I
be selling
know.
myself.
I know, but you're showing off your tan. I saw that.
Yes, I just spent
So
2 weeks in Dominican with my wife. It was I was actually my celebration of fourth year corporate free. Like literally, I resigned on March 28th, 2018, and
mhm.
then I just resigned literally, and then we went there for 2 weeks. I went all with first time without the kids. It was amazing. We
Oh,
went into luxury presidential one bedroom suite. We had a butler. I mean, you don't need it, but and
yeah.
just spent 2 weeks literally on the beach, just relaxing. And even my
Yeah.
wife said, well, first time I unplugged from computers and doing nothing. And it was the best vacation. I felt like I was there for a month. And you just came back too from Mexico. You were there for like 3 months or something.
Yeah, I was there for 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm going back again because Vancouver Island is no place to be in the winter. Even though it's
Oh,
the warmest place in Canada, it is grayer than gray.
yeah, no worries. We get lots of sun, but when I came in, it was from plus 30 degrees to negative 17 with wind chill and snowing and stuff. So, but I love snow. That's the thing. It's dry here,
I don't
not like
mind.
in
I
Vancouver.
like to dry too. I'm actually I'm buying in Calgary because I don't well, first of
We're
all, I
gonna
don't
be
want to live on
neighbors. Ooh.
I know we're going to be really close neighbors. I know. It's
Yeah,
really
I live in Vancouver for 27 years, so like
and this is the thing about online. This is the last thing I want to say about working online is that if you can find a way to do something you love and make money at it online, your life will never be the same
it never gets
in a
boring. You
good
get to
way.
meet so many people, and if you find something you're passionate about, yeah, you're totally right and stuff like that. So, April, thank you so much. This was amazing. We're almost there for what an hour,
I
and
know.
just having like a conversation. So, if you guys have got some value, again, you're welcome to share this and check it out. April, I'm going to send you the copy as well too, but we'll post this everywhere. If you guys are watching live, just you guys are welcome to comment. If you watch a replay, comment replay below. Let us know. You guys are welcome to check out. There's so many things. You can book a call with us. You can go to rafalpro.com or April. You have a link right there too. So you guys
aprilcorbettinc.com or even
yeah.
just April Corbett. I'm easy to find
Yeah,
online.
so we're all over social media. Before my best friends used to laugh at me when I used to talk to my phone, record videos and stuff. Now I'm all over social media, so you guys welcome to check me out and stuff. And then definitely, hopefully, you guys your mind was fed. You learned something new, but just take something, implement it. Okay, I think one of the takeaways that I'm gonna have my last words is what you just said about income producing activity. Put a list. Top 3 should be income producing activity, just so that way you move forward. What's your biggest takeaway there, April?
I think that, just you celebrating that 4-year anniversary is so huge, because I think often we forget to celebrate. Now that's a big thing, but don't forget to celebrate the little things, because
Reward
the
yourself.
little things are going to keep you moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we'll see you guys on the next one. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting me, and we'll definitely feed your mind all the way through, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, guys.